Have you ever spent ages waiting at your doctor's practice wondering, why is it taking so long? In this video I'm going to explain why that might be happening, and also why going to a doctor's appointment is kind of like catching a plane. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit strange, but let's talk about it as we tech enhance your primary care and learning. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you've been waiting for one of your healthcare appointments, whether it's with a doctor, a nurse, or somebody else at your practice, or even in the hospital. And sometimes it can be really frustrating that you're left there waiting. I'm going to share with you how I explain it to patients as to why sometimes you are kept waiting at the practice, how this is relevant to remote consultations like on the telephone or video, and simple things that hopefully make that experience a lot better for everybody involved. So imagine you're going on holiday and you need to catch a plane. Flight leaves at 10 o'clock. Well, you're not going to arrive at the airport at 10 o'clock, are you? You're going to get up, get to the airport on time, particularly if you're driving, you're going to need time to park as well. Check in, making sure your luggage has gone through if that's relevant. Get through security, board your plane with plenty of time to make sure you're ready to go off with the plane when it's time to fly. In a way, it's no different when it comes to your appointment at the practice. It's important to make sure you've got everything that you need for your appointment. So for example, if you're going for a medication review, potentially having your medications with you, really relevant for things like inhalers and stuff, or at least having that list of healthcare issues that you've got ready to discuss with your healthcare professionals, leaving early enough to allow for travel issues such as, for example, if the bus is running late or if you need to find parking, checking in at the reception desk, whether that's with the reception team themselves or electronic booking methods, making sure you've gone through all the infection control processes, so particularly with recently COVID being around, that you follow the guidance in terms of what you need to do in attending your practice, and then being at the right place at the healthcare centre for your appointment, ready to go to see your clinician, nice and easy. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go that way, does it? Sometimes when you're going for a flight, there may be problems elsewhere, either with the plane or in other parts of the airport, meaning that the flight is delayed. At your practice, that might be because there's problems elsewhere in the practice that mean the appointment has to be delayed. For example, this could be unwell patients, urgent healthcare issues that the clinician has to deal with, or other issues within the practice that mean that things are going slower. When you're travelling, sometimes those problems with your plane may be down to earlier problems with flights not arriving and leaving on time. And unfortunately that can definitely be the case in practices as well. The person being seen before you may have taken longer for a variety of reasons, and that unfortunately will mean that your appointment will be delayed. I know I often try and give the patients as much time as I feel they need, and that may be more time than I've got allocated for that appointment, whilst also trying to be fair to the other patients waiting to still have contact with me. Normally a practice would hope that they would be able to deal with the patient in the allocated time that they have. That can be, for example, 10 minutes. As I said, that may not always be possible. And if you think about it, if the doctor spends an extra couple of minutes with every single patient that they've seen, and you're patient number 15, that's potentially at least half an hour they may be running behind. We all hate it when we're waiting for our flight to go away, and then we get that dreaded announcement that unfortunately the plane cannot take off, and the flight has to be cancelled. This is likely because the plane is broken and is unsafe to fly. This unfortunately can happen with your practice appointments, and likely to be due to issues in the practice, for example with IT failures in the practice, issues of staff illness, or other types of emergencies, and for that reason your appointment may need to be delayed. If this happens, this is normally a significant issue, which your practice will try and keep you informed of as best as possible. But sometimes that doesn't always work so well. And unfortunately, recent challenges such as growing demand and expectations, joined with reducing staff and resources, mean that they may lead to further delays. However, one thing to remember, that once your plane is gone, I'm afraid it is gone. For example, if you're coming for an appointment and you are late, unless you have a time machine, that appointment has passed, and you won't be able to have that unit of care. All practices will have policies of what to do in that situation. Often, they may be able to slot you in at another time, either later that day or on another day, depending on the capacity that is available. Just like in an airport, there's only a certain number of planes available and we can't really make more up. And that will be the same with your healthcare appointment. If it is a medically urgent problem, then your practice will try their best to make sure they can deal with that as quickly as possible, based on the information they have and the resources available. It's important to note with many practices now offering remote consultations like phone or video consultations, if you have an allocated time for that appointment, then it's really important that you're ready for it. The same or similar rules will apply for remote consultations. However, most practices will often try at least twice to contact you. Do remember that emergencies do sometimes happen at the practice. And do remember, all practices will have their own terms and policies, which will be available likely on their practice website, kind of like on a plane ticket. Leave a like down below if you have found this episode useful, either in attending a GP practice for an appointment or in catching a plane. Additionally, check out this video right here that explains the various different types of appointments in general practice, or check out this video that explains why it can be difficult sometimes getting an appointment with your GP.